Fanzone, united by the game, powered by MWOS World of Sport.
Welcome to Fanzone, your hottest and latest destination for all Zimbabwean sport. We bring you passion, drama, and non-stop action, all happening here in the Fanzone studio. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers. Africa Cup of Nations kicking off on Sunday in Morocco. Marshal Munetsi dropped from the squad. We're going to examine as best we can Zifa's statement on the issue and try to explain a bit of that to you. Also, we've got a predictor competition for the AFCON. You can take part and you can win. Details on that are coming up shortly. And as well as that, PSL season has only just finished, but there's lots and lots of rumours, interesting ones that we've got for you in our Rumours and Rubbish segment. Thabo Senong set to take over at Highlanders. Great guests on the show as always. Isaac Weston is the MWOS Media Liaison Officer. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be here.
Yeah, exciting things happening at the MWOS Ngoni Stadium. I've been there as well. The CAF Gift Girls Under-17 tournament, second international tournament at the MWOS Ngoni Stadium in the space of 3 months.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, being associated with all that is happening in Norton right now. I'm pretty sure the Norton community and everyone associated with Norton and MWOS FC should be feeling really chuffed and proud at this time.
And plenty of moves, of course, rumoured with MWOS. We'll get that from Isaac as well. Simba Chiminya, welcome back, StarFM sportscaster.
Thank you very much, Steve. Nice to be back on the show, especially when you're looking forward to the Africa Cup of Nations.
And you may have noticed we're looking super good today. These are the official Warriors jerseys. Much criticised, Sips, but what's wrong with them?
You know what, Steve? I was also a little bit skeptical when those first set of photos were released. I was very skeptical. But upon close examination, very good fit and obviously nice Warriors pride as for when CAF or AFCON kicks off. So
looking good.
Yeah, looking great. And what about you, Sim? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's something on Zifa to tell their own story, not to wait for other people to tell their story, because they had to do it as a damage control when they showed the world that these are the jerseys, and then people started saying, but they are not really bad. So I thought in the first instance they were supposed to be the one to show the world what the Warriors kit looks like, more than having somebody who just took his own phone and then they started circulating and everything just went haywire, and people were criticizing it before they had even had sight of the jerseys.
Yes, well, let's know what you guys think of the Warriors jerseys. Has your opinion changed since Zifa have released their designs and the new look? Steve, you mentioned the CAF Under-17 tournament at MWOS Ngoni Stadium. Give us the rundown. What's been happening and some of the results there?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful tournament. It's the second edition. It's fully funded by CAF for the accommodation and transport of the girls. There's 6 countries represented. It's going to rotate around the region. So it started first in East Africa, in Tanzania in January. This is the second edition. It'll go to West Africa next, and they hope even to have it twice a year. So it's for under-17 girls, 6 nations represented, and Popoma Sports Academy from Bulawayo representing Zimbabwe. Mamelodi Sundowns inevitably will take the title. They've got such a good squad, including 2 players from the senior Sundowns side, and they're just brilliant. One of them is Sandra Mugwara. She's got Zimbabwean parents, and it's as well as the football itself, which has been good. Some one-sided games, 16-0, the biggest scoreline. Sundowns beat a side from Namibia. But there's a lot happening on the sidelines. There was a level 4 coaching course. Wilson Mutakede was leading that. Of course, he'll be at MWOS this coming season. 20 young ladies got their entry level there, the CAF D certificate, including Talent Mandaza. She's a former Mighty Warriors captain. So that was good. Media officers training as well. That's really good, including the Scotland media officer. Of course, they're going into the CAF Champions League, so getting good training, good experience there as well. There's a vaccination day event for the girls to learn about the HPV vaccine that prevents cervical cancer. And a referees course led by Felix Tango Arima, who's now in Morocco at the AFCON, but 5 days ahead of the tournament. Felix did a coaching course there, refereeing course. Some of them as young as 19, and they are officiating at the tournament. So It's been really good, very, very good vibe, lovely competition, free admission, small crowds most days, but when Zimbabwe's representatives have been playing, it's been good. And it rained on Sunday, heavy rain, drama. I've not seen a game stop because of rain for a long time, but a 15-minute stoppage when Popoma lost to Mamelodi Sundowns. But it's a beautiful tournament, and we're hosting it really well.
Yeah. And what were some of the results from Popoma? Obviously, the Zimbabwean side. How have they done?
Yeah, started off with a 12-0 win against Ochiwa Rongo Sports Academy of Namibia. So we thought maybe we were favourites to take the tournament. But then against Luwenga of Malawi, we only won 2-1 and were lucky actually to get 3 points there. And then the big game was on Sunday, the final before the final, which was the Group A decider. There's no semi-finals, so the group winners go straight into the final. Sundowns, though, beat us 6-0. They were just too good. So that means Popoma will be in the third place match, which will be on Thursday, which is the final day. But they've never had games as tough as this one. It was really, really good exposure, and they'll learn such a lot.
Yeah, so as a lot's going on at MWOS Ngoni Stadium. Isaac, you've been with MWOS FC for a long time, and as somebody else had said a couple weeks ago, that the MWOS Ngoni Stadium has gone from a dust bowl to now hosting CAF-approved tournaments. And you've watched this progression happen. How does it feel to see this in real time in the progression of Ngoni Stadium?
It's amazing, to be very honest with you. I mean, when you look at where the stadium was 3 or 4 years ago to what exactly it is now, you can see the transformation, you can see the change, and you can see the impact that it has also had on the community, on Norton as a whole, and on every MWOS FC supporter. You can see now that Norton is now known for something more than just fish and other things that have been related to the town. But now it's popular because it's now the home of MWOS FC, one of the, I can say arguably one of the biggest football clubs in the country as things stand. And the magnitude of these tournaments that are happening in the country, specifically in Norton and at MWOS Ngoni Stadium, are like it's bringing back to the community in like a really cool way, because now you have players participating in the tournaments, and you also have young children, girls, both boys and girls, now watching these tournaments live. It makes them feel motivated. It's the start of new dreams. You can imagine someone witnessing the under-17 girls, or actually the girls currently playing at the tournament, and looking at them play, and you have some girl in the stands going, that's going to be me one day. So it's cultivating dreams and growing dreams also to whoever is participating and playing.
Exactly. And it's a multifaceted venue. Yes, the football games are played there, but 2 weekends ago there was also the MWOS FC after party celebrating the season, where the official medals are handed over to the MWOS FC side. But there's also a bit of music as well. How was that experience? And to tell the viewers, who missed the event, you missed out a lot, but what was that experience also like?
We had the MWOS Norton Music Festival 2 weeks ago. It was wrapping up the season, runners up to the league. We received our medals on the day. It goes on to say what MWOS FC and MWOS Ngoni Stadium are all about. It's all about, the community, Norton as a whole, supporting, giving back. Because on the day you'd see that vendors and a lot of people had a lot of business opportunities which they exploited. And it was more like a business hub on the day. You had music, you had people selling stuff, you had people having all kinds of fun in one sport. Whereas when you look like 4, 5 or more years ago, none of that was happening. So, with the MWOS Ngoni Stadium becoming what it is now, and you're really right, they missed out on the Norton Music Festival. It was an absolute bust, and you should definitely make it to the next one. But going back to my point, MWOS Ngoni Stadium has turned into a business hub. A lot of people are benefiting from that infrastructure as a whole, and I think the best is yet to come.
Yeah. Well, lots going on at MWOS Ngoni Stadium, CAF Under-17 tournaments. But yes, as Steve has mentioned, AFCON is kicking off at the end of this week. Last week, there was a leaked Warriors squad list which was put out, but then eventually FIFA did release the official squad. Simba, there's been lots of speculation, of course, with squad lists. There's always going to be opinions and debates. Obviously, unfortunately, Jordan Zamora was left off the list due to injury. But another surprising factor was Marshall Munetsi initially was left off. What happened there? What was the miscommunication?
I think when it comes to the selection of the Warriors squad or any other national team, when it comes to the Africa Cup of Nations, there will always be talking points. But if you really follow what has been happening before building up to this selection of the team, there was a simmering tension between the association and the players. And if you remember when we played those friendly matches in Morocco, the captain Marshall Munetsi was not there, and there was talk that you are standing for the players and saying, you should not sign the contract that had been put forward for you by the association because the money is too little, and you should bargain, or we should bargain for more. So Marshall was more or less like using himself as the shield for the other players, and saying he was, or he's probably the highest profile player that we have in the Warriors squad at the moment, even though he's not in the team. So he thought maybe with him being fit, there's no way that he was going to be left out, and he was going to use his stature to bargain more for the players, because the argument was, when you're going for the Africa Cup of Nations, this is the only chance that you can make money as the players. And more so, he was looking on the side of the locally based players that are in that squad, that this is the time that you can make money. And you look at the money that the local based players get from their clubs, it's very little. So there was tension building up. And, things seemed like they were okay because Michael Nis was also there. And then came in Marian Marinica, and there was the players were kind of, sabotaging the first time that they met in Saudi Arabia for that friendly against Algeria. The players were not really cooperative to the new coach, and some were not really, up there in terms of training. That's when the coach also used to use the whip, to get the players into line, and also Zifa had to support the coach because, the players were used to regime of Michael Nis, and now Marinica was saying, we have been losing games before, and in terms of fitness, in terms of running, and the philosophy that he wants to bring in, the fast and fast type of football. So now with this tension that was there, the coach didn't want players that were going to give him problem, and the association also didn't want players that were going to give them problem. And actually, I think in this whole thing, Marshall Munetsi should feel more betrayed by his own teammates more than by Zifa, because it is these players that he was standing for, and some of them kind of snitched on him to the association to say, we have been doing this, and our ringleaders were A, B, C, D. And that's when the names, came in, that it was Marshall and Jordan Zemura. But these two guys were standing in for the players, particularly the local-based players. But now these other players could not stand, for him or for them, these two players, when they got injured. So it seems like, the injuries played into the hands of the association, because they had an excuse not to have these players. And to just rewind to 2019, when we had the Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt, there was mutiny in the camp. The players, they were boycotting. I'm sure, Steve, you were there in Egypt. And the players were saying, we want our money first before we play. And this is the same kind of stuff that Zifa didn't want. And even before, when we were going to Gabon 2017, and the players even boycotted the send-off dinner. And this is the same kind of stuff that Zifa were also not wanting, that the embarrassment that would come with it. So they try to tame the players that are in camp. And it seems like also Zifa on their side, they had to cover their back. Because remember, there's also simmering talk about a recall, and they didn't want something that would trigger that from the Warriors camp.
Yeah, there was chaos in Egypt during the tournament, which totally derailed. This time it's happening ahead of it. So on Saturday, Zifa issued a highly complicated statement, which we can't really understand unless we're a sports lawyer, maybe, but they were saying Munetsi wasn't in the squad because of insurance reasons. Normally, a player, when they go on national duty, the National Association insures them, but if they're travelling with an injury, it became more complicated, and they're saying that Wolves hadn't given the clearance in time, which is a bit puzzling because it's very common for a player to travel with an injury, and then you can assess them, decide whether you want to take that risk, and also take responsibility for that player's welfare if they do exacerbate, if there is a minor injury that they have. So Ziffa have kind of trumped us with their lengthy response on Saturday. It's difficult to take the argument any further now because they're saying that the paperwork wasn't done by Wolves, but it can't be a lengthy process. And also, if a key player's got an injury, you're not going to rule them out just like that. You can travel with them. You might go further in the tournament. They might have recovered. It was still, 2 weeks to the first game anyway when the squad was named, so he could well be better by then. And that's what he said, and Munetsi was very, very emotional about it as well. But the issues that Ziffa have highlighted now take us very much into sports law, and it's complicated.
Yeah, complicated things and complicated story. So that's the first issue when it comes to the Warriors squad. And another headlining story was the addition of Tadiwa Chakuchichi into the squad. Young man, 16 years old, plays for Scotland. Not that much game time, Steve. What are your thoughts on his inclusion?
So Simba's already said there's stuff happening behind the scenes. Also, there are players with their own issues, but there's also camps as well, which clearly have affected this selection. Chakuchichi's not ready at all. 7 appearances for Scotland during the season. Can be cases where you travel to a tournament with a real raw youngster just to expose them, not that you're going to use them. I think England took Theo Walcott when he was 17 to the World Cup, and he didn't play, but they wanted to expose him. He was with Arsenal then. Macaulay Bonny is the other one that's really questionable for me, because Bonny, we wanted him when he was playing for Charlton in 2019 for the AFCON. We got him a passport. He then pulled out saying his health was going to be, there were health issues for him. Now he's not with Charlton in the English Championship. He's with a club called Tiptree in the 7th tier of English football. And that's in the Isthmian League. It is so low. It's a semi-professional league. There's no way that we should be picking a player in the 7th tier. At the last AFCON, I was doing commentary on Tanzania's matches. They had several players they scouted from 5th and 6th tier, outside of your top 4 leagues in England, and they were just exposed. They weren't good enough. This is even lower. 7th tier. How Bonny has walked into the Warriors, I cannot understand. He was good back in 2019. We wanted him then, but how he's got in so easily, certainly you would think any decent striker from the PSL is better than him. Billy Veremu, whoever you want to pick there, our top strikers must be better than 7th tier. So those are the 2 most questionable issues. There'll always be opinions on it, but those 2 stood out for me. Sips, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think age does play an important factor. 16, you are sort of getting to that professional level, but still very young.
Yeah.
You have to be included into a national squad, a prodigy. Look at Lamine Yamal. He's like a once-off in a generation. I'm not saying Chakuchichi is bad, but I just don't think he's quite there.
He played for the young Warriors at the under-17 Kasafa at the Morzengoni Stadium, and he didn't play well at all there, although there are issues with the whole squad having cohesion. But if he banged in lots of goals there, maybe, but he didn't even play well there.
Yeah, and I also think that if he was a regular at Scotland and was really playing well throughout the season, you'd say yes, he has been in good form for the club. But even at club level, he wasn't really playing. And then you just ask what was the rationale in getting in there. Thando Ngwenya, I'm not really sure in terms of his fitness levels. But if you are arguing that you're taking a player for exposure, I'm sure that Thando is closer knocking to the Warriors, being our number 1 striker more than Tadiwa in that team. So probably could have taken him in there. So maybe, the coach might have his reasons for taking him. But again, when you argue, you have your own opinion and say, no, we thought Thando Ngwenya could have been a better option getting to the Africa Cup of Nations so that he gets the exposure.
MWOS FC also isn't any stranger into including youngsters into their squad. Recently this year, Ethan Thompson made his first appearance at just 13 years old. And so, what was there any backlash when that sort of conversation was had when people saw him on the squad? What was the reception of Ethan?
I think people always have opinions based on whatever event happens, and in this case, I think it was split. People like, this is a good initiative with a young kid, making a debut. It was the Chibuku Super Cup, I think, with a young kid making his debut season, playing for a big club such as MWOS. And, a lot of people looked at that and says, what, if other countries are doing it, you have Spain, Lamine Yamal, for example, very young, being introduced into the game and, performing well under pressure. So you had people who were looking at that and saying, he's 13 years, but he's going to go in and, hopefully maybe, go get the pressure, but, maintain it and play well. And you also had others who were like, he's too young, he might not be able to. But at the end of the day, it narrows down to the coach. It narrows down to what he's feeling and he's thinking at the moment. And I feel like personally from Ethan's point of view, getting that exposure into a game of such magnitude, this is CAF United we're talking about. And you're going into a game where, we're already leading, but you're 13 and you have that opportunity, to like go in there and showcase your talent. For him, it's a big morale boost. That's how you end up with players, eventually performing, above par because they have that boost while they were still young. So I think as much as there's so much critic that comes along with it, but sometimes it's from the coach's point of view, it's a risk we're taking, specifically if the player goes on to perform. I'm looking at a situation where 4 or 5 years from now, you have an Ethan Thompson appearing maybe on Sky Sports or somewhere out there going, my first game was against CAF United at Morgan Stadium. A coach named Lloyd Mtesa gave me a chance, and I played, and that boosted my confidence. So I think to some extent, it just depends on how you look at it. Are you looking for the near future, or you're looking, far off into the future? So sure. It all depends.
Yeah, it all depends. So there's so much to talk about the Warriors. There have been a couple of issues. There were kit, the exclusion of Marshall Munetsi, so many stories going on. And as AFCON kicks off, so is the AFCON predictor. Guys, if you played the MWOS PSL predictor, you do not need to sign up again. Just go onto the website fanzone.co.zw, and on the AFCON predictor tab, it's already there for you. Just a quick punch-in of your predictions. If you weren't a part of the MWOS PSL predictor and you are new, you will have to sign in, but on the same tab. So it's going to be interesting. The AFCON predictor, TVs, speakers, and power banks are all to win for, and maybe some other sweepstake prize, which we won't tell you just yet. So make sure you punch in your AFCON predictor. Steve, are you going to be playing the AFCON predictor?
Yep.
I know that the PSL one is a big success. How
Sure.
about for AFCON?
I've done my round one already. So few tips here. Don't be guided by names only. So game one is Morocco versus Comoros. You might think that's going to be an easy win for Morocco, but Comoros are a decent side. They must be respected. So you might say that's where my joker should go. Cameroon were shaky in World Cup qualifying, lost out to Cape Verde. So don't just be guided by traditional names. Nigeria can get themselves in a mess, so don't rely on them to get thumping wins. Senegal, very consistent. Their coach Pap Chow has been really good. So my joker in the first round of games is on Senegal against Botswana, because I think that of all the teams there, Botswana are among, with our Warriors sadly, are among the very weakest there. So I've got Senegal, Botswana for a thumping win with my joker for a 3-0 win in round one.
Well, there you have it, guys. That is Steve's tip of the week when it comes to the AFCON predictor. Make sure you do yours and join in on the fun. The 2026 Castle PSL season is around the corner, a couple of months to go, and the transfers, rumours coming out of MWOS FC. It was rumoured for so long that Abubakar Moffat would depart to Scotland. Some were sceptical, some weren't, but officially it was signed on Friday. Isaac, how's that loss for you when you heard the news? And for the MWOS FC team as well.
Abubakar was someone who had integrated himself into not only the MWOS FC squad, the team, but the community. I have had messages from different members of the community talking about, can he meet my son? Can he meet my daughter? Can he be there? And rightfully so, he showed up, to be honest. He showed up to many of these events. And he had settled down very well into the team, into everyone. And everybody liked him, per se. And, when the rumor started, circulating and whatnot, conversations were had with the player to see what's what and whatnot. And, I guess it's football. I guess what I would say is I would make a very good example, if I'm going to say maybe if Lamine Yamal wakes up one morning, I mean, he is literally the Barcelona as things stand. If he wakes up one morning and he goes, I want to go to Real Madrid, there is so much Barcelona or the team per se can do to hold on to him, but much of the decision lies in the hands of the player. So, I think conversations were had, and eventually the player had decided to go to Scotland. So, as much as we wanted him, I mean, there is no denying Abubakar is a very good player, and the impact that he has had on MWOS FC for the time that he was at MWOS FC, the 6 months that he was there, there's no denying that his impact was by far great. But when you come to a situation where a player expresses himself and says, you know what, I've been here, I think I've done my deed, and I want to move on, see what's next. There is so much the club can do. And, we've been reading comments on social media, people saying, why would MWOS FC let such a player go? It has very little to do with what MWOS FC wants. At the end of the day, we're looking at player welfare. We can't keep someone who does not want to stay, you understand? Because at the end of the day, if he stays and, performs, it ends up narrowing down to say, you know what, I wanted to leave, you should have let me leave. So, it's a big blow. It's really a big blow, but, it's football. It is what it is.
We know in football that rivalries they make football. Obviously, Abubakar moving from MWOS FC to Scotland, the biggest rivals, that must have a little bit of extra sting in it.
It really does. I'm not going to lie. It really does, because it shapes up to an interesting 2026 season altogether, because you now have conversation. People are going, you're now missing one of your influential midfielders and whatnot. But then again, you dial back, go back to the drawing board and realize, yes, was Abubakar influential and impactful? Yes, he was, but also who else did we have who was, played the same part?
First half of the season, you guys.
Exactly. You now have Tinotinda Mchikambizi, who has been, he's been by far one of the stand-up players for the team. You have Matthew Sejo Mrambiwa, young and also coming in. So you can already see that his departure, though of course we're going to see some effects of his departure, but you also have young guns, new players, or not new, but already existing players who can really come in, and fit in those shoes. And I don't think the team will struggle as much in his absence, although his absence will be really, really, really felt.
And you are pleased with some of your new re-signings. You know that Lloyd Matassa has extended his contract by another 2 years, which is good news. I'm finishing second in your PSL debutant season. Is great. There was that middle patch where I think fans were starting to lose a bit of hope. But your thoughts on as representing MWOS FC on the renewal of Lloyd's contract?
Lloyd came to the team at a point where things were not going so well at the time. Well, they were going well, but we were not producing the results that the team wanted. And I believe back then, Wanda Ngogo was still at the helm of the team. And then him coming in, it shaped our 2023 season, if I'm not mistaken. It really shaped it gave us a top 4 finish in our debut season in the Northern Region Soccer League, and he has taken us, to the past 2 seasons, and he has given hope to many people. 2024 was one of those seasons where everyone was very sure at some point that we were going to lift the league, and he gave us that. Lloyd gave us that, and him, of course, now extending, and of course, recently giving us, the runners-up title. He has been performing really, really good. So him extending his stay, I think for most MWOS FC fans, it's a breath of fresh air. We are continuing with the same philosophy. Not too many changes. Nothing is changing. It's a good continuation. And of course, you have new players. Well, not new rather, but you have Arthur Banda signing an extension, 2 more years. He has been with the club just as long as Lloyd has been, and his contribution, Arthur Banda specifically, has been phenomenal. So it's pretty exciting to know that most of the building blocks are still there and in place, and I think it's going to be a good 2026 season.
Yeah, so Wilson Mutakede is the technical director now. I chatted to him at the CAF Girls Tournament. He says he's not going to be getting involved with the senior men's team much. He's going to be with the youth side of things.
Well, MWOS FC has the under-17s, we have the under-19s, we also have the Queens, we also have some junior development going on. So it is more of a strategy to look more into where the the grassroots, where everything is starting. We're catching them as boys and as girls, while they still have the passion, the energy, and whatnot. So I think his introduction is going to be mainly focused on that, developing youth, so that not only do we now need to say who's playing well at Simba Bhora, who's playing well at Dynamos, who's playing well at whatever team, can we pay a transfer fee to get them, but rather say who do we have within our ranks, bringing in those young players at 17, at 16, and then pumping them into the mainstream. So I think that is the target in the long run, to say let's build our own players, let's not rely on the transfer market, but rather let's promote them from the under-19s, under-17s, and bring them into the team and into the squad.
Yeah, and so also in the Northern region released their top 11 players for the season, and Brendan Mpofu was on the list. He's a part of the MWOS under-19 squad, and also a couple of other names in there, Max Shawn, Murambiwa. What's the criteria for an under-19 player? Are there going to be a couple of promotions? Will we see maybe some new faces in the under-19 side?
Well, there has been a lot of good performances from the under-19 side, specifically this year, especially the second half of the year. The Northern Region started on a bad note for the under-19, specifically our MWOS FC under-19s. But, the second leg, it showed us a lot of potential. A lot of players really showed their potential and what they can do on the pitch. You have mentioned Makshoni Murambiwa. He had a good run. At the end of the season. We also have Rashigura Nungo as the goalkeeper, and a couple of other players also. So I think it narrows down to what the coaches are going to decide. Already you have Lloyd Mtasa and Joseph Takarangofa. They work well hand in hand together very well. So of course I'm pretty sure they will at some point, or might have already had the seat down to say, you know what, these are good potential players we can actually introduce into the first team squad, and then they'll probably give us the result that we're looking for. So to answer your question, yes, you may see some new faces in the main team coming from the development side. It's almost a guarantee.
Oh, that's very good. And speaking of a new team and new signings, what are the little whispers within the MWOS FC side that you're allowed to tell us when it comes to some new signings?
The transfer window.
Yeah, transfer window.
What I can say with certainty is that we are in the transfer window, very much active, and we are having conversations with different players from different clubs. But as to say who, where, when, and other specifics, I cannot say. But of course, you can always rely on our social media platforms for that kind of information. But yeah, we are in the, when you're in the market and you lose players. In this case, when you have Abubakar leaving and we don't know who else. But in this case, when things are like that, we also have to go into the market and just look at how best you can, replace and revamp the squad. So yeah, we will be in the market definitely looking to see how best we can, revamp the squad ahead of 2026.
Yes, Steve, the 2026 season it's shaping up to be an exciting one, Steve?
Yes, it is, and with all these short-term contracts ending, so many players on short-term contracts means that that's why they're looking for new clubs, and MWOS doing things differently with that developmental side of things is really good to see, Sips.
Yes, yeah. So MWOS FC, they finished second in their PSL debutant season, and elsewhere in other sports, our Golden Flyers, our men's national netball team, they finished second in the African Netball Championship after losing to, as you guessed it, South Africa in our final. Probably our nemesis when it comes to sports, but it's good results from the men's side, and then from the Gems as well. We finished third, getting a bronze medal after beating Malawi. So on netball, up on the rise, Steve.
Yeah, of course, the Gems, the women's team, much more established than the men's, who've only been in international action for just a few years. For Zimbabwe in the women's section, heavy defeat to South Africa in the semi-finals, which is to be expected. And beating Malawi for third place is a really good result, because they and South Africa are the two top teams on the continent. So that was a really good performance from them. The Golden Flyers, level of competition not so high, but getting silver there was excellent.
Yeah, indeed, and more so for the fact that they're just starting their international careers, and you're up against South Africa, and you give them a good one for their money. But I was more pleased with the ladies' team because beating Malawi, Malawi, Uganda, South Africa are the powers in Africa. So beating them at home, 48-44, it was close, but it was very tense. So just say congratulations to the girls. They really did well.
Yeah, big result that was.
Yeah, big results, and even big results in our golf. Normally a sport where we have struggled quite a lot, but in the Africa Youth Games, 2 gold medals in our golfing. Steve, I have not heard of that in Zimbabwe golf for a long time.
Yeah, I know there's a lot happening with golf, with development. We're getting involved in these competitions, and especially with young golfers as well. African Youth Games, it's a big one. We haven't had that much information coming out of what's been happening there, but we have seen golf steadily growing, and they're a very well organised federation right now. So getting gold in both men's and women's really good going.
Yeah. So our golf is growing and going in the right direction. But who else has been growing? Their team is Hard Rock FC. My oh my, they've been doing some buying, some transfers. The rumour was Calvin Kaindu would be possibly transferring to Hard Rock FC, and it was announced over the weekend that he has signed. Steve, I saw that news and I thought, oh dear, oh dear, Dynamos are in for it next season, but we're surprised by that signing.
I guess not. It's just it's a market, isn't it? It's a free market, and Kaindu took that risk at Dynamos, did so well to escape relegation with them, but now we've got another big club with budget, and they're going to attract good players. They have done already, according to the latest rumours. And Kaindu, we know that he's such a good coach. What it means for Dynamos, yeah, probably more of the same as to what happened in 2025. It means it's another rebuilding and tough season ahead for Dynamos. But Kaindu, is, for me, he's shown his quality.
Yeah. Simba, were you surprised by that transfer?
No, not at all. When Kevin Kaindu came to Dynamos, he was kind of preparing himself for the big check, auditioning himself for the big check, because, after being released by Highlanders, you look at the teams that can get you. But going to Dynamos, managing to help them survive relegation, win Chibuku Super Cup, it means now that he was going for that big paycheck, and the clubs that were going to afford him were very few. And even Dynamos, I think at this stage, with their finance at the moment, were not able to afford him. And the deal was done even when he was still with Dynamos, because clubs were now going for the coaches that they want, and just like the players, to say at the end of the season, we'd want you to become our coach. You agree terms, and these are the coaches that were also helping in terms of identifying and scouting players that are going to be signed by the team.
Yeah. And so, Isaac, Hard Rock is shaping up to be a worthy foe and opponent. What's your expectation for when MWOS FC meets them next year?
It almost feels nostalgic, how Hard Rock are going about whatever they're doing at the moment, because a couple of months ago, 8 or so, it was MWOS FC in the same seat, because we were the newcomers, the guys with the new stadium, the guys who were bringing in players. So yeah, I think it shapes up a season where there's going to be a lot of competition, and a lot of healthy competition rather, which is going to be exciting. I mean, when all teams are having the players they need, the coaches they need, and the resources they need to participate in the league, it shapes up for a great season. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think you also brought up a fair point, Steve, in the last episode about financial fair play.
Yeah.
We could possibly be seeing the effects of that this season. Hard Rock, in their transfer window, Scotland as well. How do you think that's going to play out this season?
Yeah, again, what happens, say in your English Premier League, financial fair play, you can only spend what you earn from transfers, from income, match day revenue, and so on. We don't have the records here exactly as to what a club's income is. We don't know how much transfers are for. Most of them are short-term or loans as well, so it wouldn't exactly work here, but I think we need some way of restricting the spending that a club can have, because then, like we're seeing with Scotland, you can just come in and offer big contracts, big deals, and you'll get a whole load of top players and the best squad in the country. So obviously Hard Rock are going to spend, any club is going to spend. I doubt if they'll go as big as Scotland have, but to me, there should be some level of financial fair play. But then again, matchday revenues are small for most clubs because of because of attendances, because there's not much merchandise on sale, catering, and so on. So it's a different environment, but there's something I think that we could learn from there.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult because you look at these players, most of them are free agents. You see, most of our players are signing short-term contracts. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason why even look, Simba Bhora, after losing almost their entire team to Scotland, and then the next year, this year, the players that they signed, they gave them 2-year contracts, so that if they are wanted by the other teams, they are able to sell them. That's the reason why now you've got some price tags on the likes of MWOS, because he had signed a 2-year contract. So the challenge that we have now is our clubs are giving players short-term contracts, and the reason why also they're giving players short-term contracts is they haven't been consistent from our players. So you give a player a 3-year contract, and after a year, he is not able to perform. If you are to release him, it's a baggage on your side, because you have to buy out the contract with that player. So as long as you have a situation whereby the one that you have at the moment, it's really difficult, to implement those things, because clubs are just going for the player that has been in form the previous season, and there's no guarantee that the next season that player is also going to be on song. So we are going to continue having this cycle of 1-year contracts, save probably for players that are coming through the junior ranks of the clubs. But if you look at the moment, we are not having many of those players. So as long as there is a situation whereby we have mostly free agents, it's going to be difficult. Yes, there's something that needs to be done. But again, when you ask those players, they will tell you that for these individually owned teams, owned by Mbingas, you know that when you go there for a year, you just take your money. What happens next, you don't know. But still, you have got teams that are owned by corporates. They still have that drawing power, because you know that if you sign for them, there is guarantee that your money is going to be paid, even if you are going to be offloaded after a year.
Yeah, but for me, I'd like to think for a player's development, it's better to stay in one place for 3 years maybe before you move on. If you're changing club every season, it's a new environment, possibly a new town or city that you're in, and to me that affects a player development. It's a different system they're playing in each time they move as well.
Yeah. Well, Simba, you mentioned MWOS and Simba Bhora. Apparently there's an alleged exodus. A lot of the Simba Bhora players are leaving maybe to Scotland. Some have been offered contracts to FC Platinum. However, Simba Bhora have denied these claims, saying that their players will be staying, a large majority of them. What's your thought on this opinion? Will we be seeing a large number of Simba Bhora players leaving, or are those the rumours?
I think for those that are being sought by other clubs, they're going to leave, because look at MWOS. There are a number of clubs that are wanting him, and I understand that Scotland have already tabled a deal that they also want to buy him together with Donald Mdadi, Webster Tafa as well. But with Webster Tafa, I understand that he wants to stay at Simba Bhora. So is Butolez Ngube. He has already extended his contract by another season, but FC Platinum wanted him. Remember, he also worked under Joe Lupasla at Simba Bhora. And then also Simba Bhora on their end, they've been trying to change their thrust. They saw what happened this past season, 2025. After losing most of their players, they brought in other players. But now they're saying, we have got these players under contract. We can make more money from them, and we bring in other players. So, yes, the coach is gone. The other players are gone, because Junior Makunike is also on his way to Hard Rock. Tendre Matiaonga is already signed, but he was already a fringe player last year, playing second fiddle to William Tole, but Tole is still there. So Boyd Ntukure also going to Hard Rock as well. So maybe they are saying from the money that they are going to get from those other players, they are going to Division 1, get other players that they give them a long-term contracts, and then they swap them again if offers come.
Ooh. So do you think that this upcoming season we could potentially see Simba Bhora not as strong or not performing as well as we've seen them in the past?
It depends because if you look at the team that they had the past season, I think it was stronger than the one that won them the league title. But a lot of things happened behind the scenes, and they ended up losing the title. But if you look towards the end of the season, they were in really good shape to win the title, and probably also point to the participation in the CAF Champions League that affected them. But if they can replicate what they did, they can still have a good squad.
Yeah. Well, lots of things happening with the squads. Even in the Highlanders technical team, we haven't seen much from the player side, but the technical team has been revamped.
Yes.
Single coming in as head coach. Your thoughts on this, Steve?
Right. 2026, massive year for Highlanders because they turn 100. It's the centenary year. First step was to avoid getting relegated, which thankfully they did, because that would have been a disaster for the centenary year. They want to be a force and have a really good season. Thabo Senong is a former South Africa under-20 national team coach. Actually, took them to the World Cup, under-20 World Cup in 2019. Then he was Lesotho coach. I remember meeting him here during COSAFA Cup. He was young then. He's still only 45, so he's a good coach, no doubt. He was in Tanzania as well. Big question is, can they pay him? Can they pay him consistently? I ideally hope so, because we wouldn't want to see any issues happening there in terms of the coach's contract or of him not being paid, and we know how common that is. So he's a good coach. He's good with youth, which fits in with Highlanders' philosophy. Benjani would have been very eye-catching if he had become the head coach, but I guess it was too risky. Still, we don't totally know what he's capable of when it comes to coaching a club. So he's going to be there in a higher role and possibly slightly ceremonial to see, just for him to be part of the setup, but technical director. So it's big that Benjani is there as well. So Senong, he can't be cheap. I'm sure that Highlanders have done their homework. We don't want another one of those issues where there's legal action from a coach whose contract is terminated and there's big payments that are due. If it works out, it'll be an exciting season for Highlanders. He'll be able to bring in some of the youngsters, definitely. Really good coach is Thabo Senong. I was really surprised when I saw his name mentioned at first, but it looks as though it's going to happen. Benjani there as well, 100 years old, should be exciting for Bosso.
Yeah, and it should be exciting for them. And like you rightly pointed out, that it dovetails with their philosophy of promoting the juniors from players from their juniors. And they had also a team playing Bosso 90, but I'm not really sure if there are many quality players from that team, because it was also relegated from the Southern Region Division 1 League. But all the same, having a young coach, young TD, also I think it's good for the team, and it looks like promising. And if their benefactor Wicknell Chiva promised to pay for Benjani's salaries, I'm pretty sure that he's also going to do the same for Senong. I think it's something that they can negotiate, in the offices with the Highlanders executive to say, please pay for our coach. And I don't think it will be really much that Wicknell would not be able to pay together with Benjani's salary.
The Highlanders went against what Wicknell wanted with Benjani being coach, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure they pleaded behind the scenes. That, I wouldn't want to appear like we have just accepted what you have said, or maybe probably they had started negotiations with Thabo Senong, but just accepting Benjani to be part of that technical team, I'm sure the benefactor will be pleased with that and to just give them the money that they want.
Oh. Yeah, it's very interesting though. But Steve, are you still sure about the Highlanders, the players that Senong is going to be able to work with? Do you think they're making plans to accommodate that?
Right, yeah, because it was not a good season. Andrew Mbeba, top-notch, especially when he's in full fitness as well, because he had that injury issue which saw him drop from the Warriors squad as well.
Mashori has also just left. He's going down with Zulu, so...
Yeah.
And no guarantee as well that Andrew Mbeba will be there next year. And it's almost like 80 or something % that he will not be there.
Well, yeah. So the coach is going to have a lot of work to do to get his side clicking definitely, I'm sure there'll be a budget for transfers as well. Yeah, but they were exposed in 2025.
Yeah, they definitely were. But exciting times for the 2026 season. Isaac, lots to look forward to. Who are you most excited to play next year as MWOS FC?
That's a tricky one because there are a lot of good teams out there, and I feel like it's one of those seasons where every week there's a big game going somewhere going on somewhere rather because a lot of it. But if I'm to pick, I'd have to go to my all-time favorite, the MWOS FC versus Scotland game. It's always one to watch. It doesn't matter what's happening, league positioning, whatever, but it's always one to watch. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one in 2026, of course.
Yeah. Yes, it's also been revealed that the 2026 Castle Lager Premier Soccer League fixtures and release dates have been released this year. So Steve, we have not really seen this sort of organization from the PSL in previous years.
You know, what a pleasant surprise. Fixtures will be out before Christmas. It's unheard of. All we normally hear this time of the year is a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year message from the PSL saying that our offices are closed until January. So that they've got busy and are going to release fixtures on Friday is really good organisation from them. So, of course, that means that planning can happen. It's good for broadcasters, it's good for organisation. And, it's a surprise, but really good.
Yeah, what about you, Simba?
Yeah, it's really good. 15 December, and you know the calendar for 2026. You know that the Castle Challenge Cup is going to be on the 20th of February, and then you know even Chibuk Super Cup is going to start on 5 August 2026, and you know that the season is going to end on 21 November, and then you go to 28 November, the Chibuk Super Cup final, and then
Soccer Stars dinner
for December 2026, and we are still in December. And then we are talking about December next year. I think credit should go to the PSL Secretariat, Radio Tabe and his crew, as well as the executive of the PSL, Azem Furuta and crew as well, because this is the kind of stuff that you want, you know, when you want to plan, even as a fan, and that, you know, we get to travel a lot during the holidays like Easter holiday, the Heroes holiday, and you pretty know very much that most Scotland match is probably going to be on Easter, and I have to do my planning well. Dynamos Highlanders match is going to be on such a date. I have to do my planning well. So I think this is really good, and even in terms of marketing, and also credit them because 2026 they are planning a lot of things, including a marathon. That probably the fans of the teams can engage in just to raise awareness of the PSO brand, a raffle, and I think something that they also saw the Fanzone doing, the MWOS predictor doing, and this is probably also going to come from the PSO going into 2026, something that is really good.
Yeah, and so Isaac, what does this mean for you as the media liaison of MWOS FC? Obviously, you can build up anticipation for the season as well, but from your end, what does this organisation mean?
I mean, from the club's point of view in its entirety, it's a very, very good initiative they've implemented this year. I mean, you're looking at 3 teams in Bulawayo in 2026, so knowing when you're going to play them is, you know, it gives you an advantage in regards to planning. And like what Simba said, from a marketing point of view, from, you know, a planning point of view, it's a very good initiative, and I think most, if not all clubs, welcome this new initiative.
Yeah, so big up to the PSL and the board and their team, as Simba had said. But for Simba and Isaac, thank you very much for sitting with us in the fan zone. Guys, remember to do your AFCON predictor. It kicks off on Sunday, so do not be left behind. Do your predictor, head on over to fanzone.co.zw. Sign yourself up if you didn't play the MWOS PSL predictor, but if you did, all you have to do is just go into the tab and get predicting. It's so much fun, and let's see how it will end. But if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, like and subscribe, share this with your friends, drop your opinion in the comments, let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.